baseline is if you find a young person or a young business you want to invest in, do your due diligence well. Due diligence about the service or the product they are involved in. Due diligence about whatever investments they have made already. Due diligence about whatever steps they intend to take and be involved in it. Either yourself directly or get a proxy, a lawyer or someone or a trust company or somebody who has that responsibility to take care of your interest, to be on the ground to, supervise whatever is being done in your interest.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Diaspora's Guide podcast, where we seek to inform, educate, and guide you when it comes to investing in Ghana. So, we have another exciting episode for you, and we have a very special guest who is in the person of the former manager of the Ghana Netherlands Business and Culture Council, the GNBCC. So, my former manager in the person of Chaling Ima Biarda. And I'm very excited to have him here. The first time we ever spoke, he was the one interviewing me, and today I get to interview him. So I'm very excited about that. So Chaling, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Jemima.
You've been in Ghana for the last 8 years, and it's
Correct.
not even the first time that you've lived in Ghana. As a Dutch person that's lived here for so long, could you share a bit of what brought you to Ghana, your journey here?
Yeah, thank you, Jemima, and I'm honored that I'm now on the Diaspora TV. I came here for the first time in 2001 for a company from Amsterdam called Explainer DC. It was then during the time of the internet hype, World Online, Nina Brink. I was employed by Explainer DC. They called themselves the big competitor of Lost Boys. That was then two hip companies, and building websites was the main thing.
Okay.
So it was not comparable to the time now that everybody can make its own website through the internet. That was not the case. It was then new and big business. The managing director and his colleague, so the management of the company, they wanted to set up a company in Ghana, basically Explainer DC Ghana.
Right.
And they were looking for a general manager with some Africa experience. And a friend of mine, I was then working in Amsterdam for PricewaterhouseCoopers, a temporary job.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, he knew, because before that I had worked in Zimbabwe. He said, "Well, there's this function in Ghana, in Africa, so maybe it's nice to apply for you." And but I'd never been in Ghana, so
Yeah.
I applied for the job, and I became selected in the sense because I had Africa experience, but sometimes it's a bit odd because I had never been in Ghana, and it's like you have worked in Albania. Albania is Europe, and then the company say, you got European experience, so now you can work in Belgium.
Right.
So, but anyway, it was a very nice challenge. There was nothing at that time in Accra for the company, so I had to set up from zilch, from nothing. There was a building, and there was a friend of my boss in Amsterdam, and he was a musician, a Ghanaian musician, and he was my big assistant. And therefore I had to start. There was no electricity on the building, there was no water on the building, all the equipment was on the ship going to Accra, and I was operating from a hotel. It was a big adventure, but we set it up, and we had a grand opening. There was even a documentary made in the Netherlands about the whole setup of Explainer DC. And it was already a very long time ago. It's 24 years ago.
Exactly.
But anyway, in Holland, the internet hype, everything what happened around World Online, and that gloomed a little bit over into the other companies. It broke down, so it went very bad with Explainer DC in the Netherlands.
Right.
And in the end, they went bankrupt, but it was, or they stopped or whatever, but that was later. But they had to cut costs, and after a year, they basically wanted somebody else.
Okay.
A student from the Netherlands,
Right.
who earned a earned less, etc.
Yeah.
And then I was a bit angry, so I started my own website design and development company here in Ghana, because I was just building up, and I had done it for 1 year, and that was called Soft Internet Solutions. And I did that. We had that operational for about 4 years. I had 8 people employed, and we were building big websites. We did all the websites for Ghana Guinness, for Star Beer, for ABC. We did the website for Nestlé. We did a website for the Parliament of Ghana. We did a website, so plenty of websites we made. But in the end, I was not really making a lot of money with it, enough to pay everybody and to have a small income myself. But it was not like, it was not like if I could been doing this for a long time, but it was not getting rich of it or anything.
So just to understand, so you came here to set up Explainer DC.
Yeah.
That was for about a year. They went bankrupt. You didn't
Yeah,
go
but they
back.
went bankrupt later, and they
Okay.
went bankrupt in the Netherlands. Explainer
Right.
DC Ghana continued and was in the end sold to this couple,
Okay.
Thomas Hess and his wife, and then it was a quite successful company, and it continued. So the company in Holland was gone, but the company in Ghana continued.
But you were no longer with them.
I was no longer with them.
Right.
And in the end, when I stopped with Soft Internet Solutions, I sold my portfolio to Explainer DC in Ghana.
I mean, I think I'm just curious why you stayed in Ghana. You didn't say, okay, I'll go back to the Netherlands, but you actually stayed and set up your own company.
Yeah, correct.
I'm curious.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was not, it was not finished, and we were just starting, and then I thought, yeah, this is nonsense. I put in 1 year of work, and we're just building up, and then suddenly I have to go back, or I have to stop. And then I knew already a lot of people in Ghana, and I started to build up my network, and so I was Mr. Explainer here in Ghana,
Right.
or Mr. Website, whatever. So I thought, okay, I was thinking and brainstorming, and at that time my girlfriend was also coming from Explainer DC, and she was very much into the design of websites,
Okay.
and I was more on the business side, and both we thought, okay, maybe we can set up our own company here in Ghana. And at that time you could set up your own company in Ghana. You only had to bring $10,000 if you wanted to set up a joint venture, which we set up, a joint venture.
Yeah.
And I found the investors in Ghana. At that time was Mr. Winches, so a number of investors I could gather to bring the start capital for Soft Internet Solutions.
Nice. No, I think it's a story of resilience and creativity and saying, hey, I'm not going to give up. There's still more to do. But I'm really curious. So Ghana 2001, which is very different from Ghana today.
Yeah.
When you first arrived in Ghana, was there any cultural shock you went through? If yes, what were some of the things?
Yeah, first of all, and I'm still not used to that, is basically the heat, the humidity, etc. And it's a total different country compared to Zimbabwe, where before I came to Ghana, I used to work and live there, also climate-wise, and also at that time Zimbabwe was very well organized, good roads, etc. In Ghana, was not so at that moment, not such a good roads, etc. But just before I came, I basically met the president who was elected in January. I came here on the 7th of January 2001. That was the exact same day that John Kufuor was inaugurated as president. And I had met him like in the summer of 2000 in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam, by coincidence. I didn't know I was going to Ghana. So that was a huge opportunity also for my boss then, like, okay, you have to visit Mr. Kufuor, the gentle giant, very nice man. So I did it. So I don't know why I was telling that, but it's yeah, it was a good vibe at that moment in Ghana, because Kufuor was the first, was after Rawlings, was elected, and he brought a lot of positive change in the business climate for Ghana. So you could notice that the amount of foreign direct investment hugely increased. In that first 6 months I was in Ghana, we had a big delegation also coming from the Netherlands under the leadership of the Minister of Foreign Trade or Foreign Direct Investment, or I don't know exactly his name. And we also visited then Kufuor at the castle. He was then still in the castle. And no, it was a very positive vibe in the country. A lot of things, and I already told you, I set up my own company with the 10,000, and if you didn't want to do a joint venture, you could, then it's your own ownership. Then it was $25,000, and that is these amounts is attracting much more investment to Ghana than the situation we have now. So the vibe was very positive. I liked it very much.
Nice.
Very good business climate.
So 2001, you were here for a while, but you went back to the Netherlands or Belgium?
I stayed on in Ghana. I basically sold off my portfolio with my company because what I told you, I was not going anywhere with it, back to Explainer DC. And then I did some consultancy, and then I came back with I was employed first as consultant, then as a supply chain manager with IOI Loders Croklaan, which is now Bunge Loders Croklaan, which is the big share nut company who's buying a lot of share nuts and also is adding value to the share nuts here in Ghana. So we were working, it was very nice. I did that till 2010. We are basically I was buying the share nuts, and then we were working with factories in Tamale, in Techiman, in Kumasi, Juabin, to make butter or oil of the nuts. So we added some value to it, and then we transported the butter to Tema Port. There we had to store it, and then I built an office there, and we built also the test lab, and then we were waiting for the ship, and then put the butter on the ship to the Netherlands, to the factory in Wormerveer. From that butter they made something else, which is an ingredient in cocoa butter equivalent. And now, if you nowadays look at the Bunge Loders Croklaan company, they have built a huge factory in Tema, and they're doing part of the processes all in Ghana. So that is an example of an excellent investor who understands it and adds value in a country like Ghana. This is what Ghana government should support. But anyway, in 2010, then I returned, and it was primarily because of my sons. I'm divorced, and I've got 2 sons, and they were at an age that it was needed for me that I should come back, be closer to them, because if I wouldn't do it then I wouldn't do it never. So I decided to go back to be closer to them. So I went back, and I started living in Antwerp, which is about 1 hour and 20 minutes of where my sons were living.
Okay. That's nice. So you went back, and yet still you came back to Ghana again.
Yeah. Yeah. When you once have been here, it's in your system.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So you came back as the general manager for the GMBCC.
Correct.
Okay, great.
So they were looking. That was back in 2016. I saw it by. No, I was still a member of. I've always been a member of the GANEC, the predecessor of the GMBCC, and I was also involved while I was working in Ghana with the GANEC and the predecessor of the GMBCC. And I remained my membership because I also set up my own company in Antwerp, investing in properties, rent properties, which I still have. So then you get a newsletter, and I saw at a certain point that they were looking for a general manager. And at that point in when I was back in Antwerp, I always wanted to study history. So I started to study history, also to show my sons that you can finish your study in 4 years if you want to have a master's. So I did that. It was just, I always was a wish of mine from back in the days. I did a Master of Business Administration. Because my dad said you cannot eat from history, but I already had eaten something, so I thought, okay, now is a nice opportunity to study history. And then I was finished in 2016, and I saw the advert of the general manager. My sons already were studying, one in Delft and the other one in Leeuwarden and then Nijrode, and they were old enough. They were already out of their house of their mother, so Dad was allowed to go back again.
Right.
So I applied for the job, and I became the candidate. I became the chosen
candidate.
Yeah. Because I also had, of course, a lot of experience in Ghana, work experience. I had a bit of a network in Ghana.
Yeah.
I knew the country, also my Shena travels, etc. I've been through the whole of Ghana from what I said, Techiman, Tamale, Paga, whatever, Yendi. And I was very enthusiastic for the job, and the board said it's not an expert function, and of course disappointing. But anyway, I knew Ghana and I liked the job, and I'm going to make the best of it.
Right.
So
yeah, that's interesting. So my next question, and maybe you touch a bit on the expat jobs. I think back in the day there were lots of expat functions, which has changed a lot. But what would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have in Europe, in the Netherlands, in the diaspora when it comes to moving or living to Ghana, or living in Ghana? Sorry.
We saw it when we were putting out my function for a successor. Is that then a lot of people they still think that, in the old days, Western companies, they would employ a manager in an African country with full regalia. So he brought in his family, his children. So the children have to go to school. It has to be paid. Big house. So that was the full expat package. So you get a higher income, your house is paid, your insurance is paid, you get airline tickets, the school of your children is paid, which is of course excellent. But nowadays, and that already started basically in the 1980s or 1990s, is of course you got very good local educated people. You have a lot of people from all other countries, Lebanon here, India, South Africa. So you don't have to put somebody unknown from the Netherlands who doesn't know or doesn't have the Africa experience, and you can find somebody here, and the misconception is still that somebody who then applies still expects like an enormous amount of income and X, Y, Z, and that was maybe in the old days, but it's not anymore. It's now like fine, but Madame or Miss, you're too expensive. And the other misconception, and we talked about that because it was mentioned by Fatima Ali Mohammed. If you come here, you have to adapt, and you don't have to calculate everything in the prices of your home country.
Yeah.
That's also a mistake. So that is misconception is it's not easy. It's also for somebody like you from the diaspora, if you've been grown up in a cold environment of the Netherlands and you're used to a lot of things, you have to be and you have to adapt again back. But that is of course easier when you come here like twice a year or once a year, and you have to be very certain that you want to make the step, because it means also a lot of more responsibility you have to take. In Western society, in the Netherlands, basically a lot of things are organized. The schooling of your kids is not is partly subsidized. The hospital, a lot of things. Life is expensive in the Netherlands, but a lot of things are organized. And and here you have much more responsibility yourself. You have to pay yourself when you go into the hospital. You have to organize your insurance yourself. You have to pay the school fees yourself, etc. So it's sometimes tougher, but it gives more satisfaction.
Exactly.
And then when you've done and organized everything, you can do anything. So.
Right. No, very good point. I agree. So what would you say is one thing you wish people would have told you before moving to Ghana, or you wish you knew before moving to Ghana?
I had a funny anecdote I sometimes tell to my friends is like, I think the first week I was here in Ghana, in Accra, I was staying in a Wangara hotel in Laboni, and then the building or the what I had to make into an office didn't have water or electricity, and we had to call, or my musician friend Ken had to call the guy. I don't know if he was from electricity company or the water company, and then he organized and he connected the water or the electricity, I don't know. And then he said, "What about lunch?" And I didn't understand him. So I asked, well, "What do you mean about you want that I go out of lunch with you?" And no. You have to give him something so he can get some lunch. And so these things you learn yourself. So that is not taught to you like.
A lot of unwritten rules, things that you're supposed to do.
I'm talking about 2001.
And so speaking to the diaspora community, what do you think some of the misunderstandings they have about living in Ghana?
Well, the thing, basically, what I just mentioned is the fact that you have to take responsibility about a lot of aspects of your life. So it's not what I told, the hospital costs, the schooling costs, etc. And sometimes that's not easy. So sometimes people fail because it's too expensive, or so you have to think about it, and you have to see that what you want to set up or where you are going to work will cover these costs. So it's easier basically to come at a younger age and build up your life, or marry here in Ghana, instead of then coming with your whole family. Of course, it can be done, but it's. I would then advise. It depends also what kind of person you are. If you're an entrepreneurial person, then you should go.
You'll be fine.
You should do, because it's also a feeling like, okay, I want to go back. I want to go. I want to build something. And in this society, is a lot of collective culture. So probably a lot of diasporans have family here. So there's already a little bit of a warm bath, what do you call it? here in Ghana. And so it's worthwhile to come visit and think and see and talk with the diaspora desk and come and visit the GMBC and ask your questions, how to set up your own company, which bank, etc., to make a whole analysis, and then that you also think, okay, this is what I'm planning to do. What I told you earlier, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to be involved with a project also from the GMBC. It's called like the Export Bridge. And there we want to support small, medium enterprises with good Ghanaian products to basically assist and help them to channel the produce into the European market through the Netherlands, and also find distributors and companies they want to buy the products. And that is quite a nice challenge, and I believe in it. I think it's a wonderful idea, and vice versa. You can also find products here, because more and more Ghanaians are living in the Netherlands, where there is a demand for in the Netherlands. So and Ghanaians are traders, so you have to start somewhere, and through the diaspora desk you can maybe find an employer, but I think the biggest thing you should try to do is set up something yourself. I also did it once here, and sometimes not super successful, but you learn a lot.
Exactly.
And from, because you know people, then you roll into other jobs and you roll in other functions.
Yeah. So I'll take that into talking about investments. So that's always a question I like to ask. Where are the investment opportunities right now in Ghana, would you say?
Basically the focus areas of the GMBC and the embassy, that is still horticulture and cocoa. Here in Ghana we've got the climate and we got the good soil. So there's a lot of opportunities. That is the horticulture and the cocoa. Of course, it's the main producer of cocoa. Next to that, one of the last biggest investments from the Netherlands is in poultry. So they set up a whole poultry doing one-day-old chicks. We have a big investment a couple of years ago of an animal feed company. So there are a lot of opportunities, but mostly in the agricultural, horticultural sector. I would focus there because there's the climate in combination with the soil and the amount of farmers brings opportunities for Dutch or diasporic business people to produce here and export.
Exactly. So the last 8 years within your function, you've related with a lot of businesses, entrepreneurs, Dutch organizations. What would you say are some of the challenges or risks that people need to take into consideration before investing in Ghana? Where are the risks?
Well, the risks are that you have to prepare it well. For instance, that you have an idea and that you focus. So not that you come here and just see, okay, what can I do? No, that you already have an idea, and then also, because you have that idea, know which kind of companies you want to speak to or people you want to speak to. And we can assist you with that, the GMBCC, because we have a whole network, and then we can in that line we can then advise you how to set up your company, wholly owned joint venture, where to open a bank account. You need a company lawyer, GIPC, you have to register, etc., etc. So that part we can assist in GMBC Diaspora Desk. And of course you can come here out of the blue and walk on the beach and have an idea. But yeah, I always work the other way. That it's better that you think. I used to have a friend. and who said, yeah, if you go to a foreign country, you look around and you go to your hotel room and you think, what are they missing? And then from that you get an idea. We have this in the Netherlands. They don't have it in Ghana, or they have this in Ghana and they don't have it in the Netherlands. Okay, it's very basic, but
Yeah, but you look for maybe a problem or something that you can find a solution to, or a gap
Yeah.
that you can fill.
yeah, and that can also be in services. We talk with Ghana Food Movement. I think they have a grand idea to. There is a potential for tourism. I was just last week with my son into Elmina. There's a lot of Dutch history there, and a lot of Afro-American people, diasporan people also want to visit because, of course, the slave history and other aspects of a troublesome history, but joint history between Ghana and Netherlands. But what is important is that there's a potential for the hotel and the kind of business. But the problem here is that they don't have a lot of how do you call that name? The training into hospitality.
Right.
That is a little bit missing. So they want to do that and set it up, and I think that is very important because you don't just build a hotel and then you're finished, and then you ask the people on the street, oh, you can come and work here. Yeah. So then when you enter a hotel, somebody's sleeping behind the counter. Yeah. You need to train people. Absolutely. And that's very important. And there's also a lot of service-minded people also in the Netherlands who have the capability to train people. There's 70% of Ghanaians are 35 or younger. It's a very young nation. Yes. There's so much opportunity here for young people. There's not enough jobs, so it's good that these initiatives are supported.
Great.
By the way, sometimes I forget the question, and then
no, that was good.
What I'm talking about.
You've answered it. So Ghana, over the past years, can you share some of your greatest experience or most rewarding experiences that you have personally had here in Ghana?
Yeah, my goodbye, huh? Then the whole show was about me. No, I'm just kidding. From the last 8 years, wow. Well, what was very fulfilling is the fact that when I came here in 2017, of course, we went into, like everybody here in the world, went into COVID, and then it didn't go that well, and we had to basically ask also the staff and myself to cut down salaries, and we went back to a skeleton staff of 4. We were going into the red, so that was not good. And then with the team, we could basically write, and also, of course, in consultation with the MSC, and a proposal which came into fruition through the private sector development project. And I'm very happy with that succeeded, because now it's going well. We are having sound black figures. And we are now in a team. Okay, I stepped down, but with 9 people instead of 4. So it's we got much more projects. Had a project directed to diaspora, to women in business, to the youth, to horticulture business platform. Then we have, I was focusing on enabling environment, improving the business climate in Ghana. Well, that's, we have now a new government, so that gives a little bit of hope that now some measures will be taken and a new GIPC Act will be implemented. I'm very happy with the new GIPC boss, Simon Maggi. He's my former colleague at the American Chamber. I worked very close with him. We organized these events with the presidential candidates, with Mahama and with Ellen Chirmateng. we did in the beginning. We also did an anti-corruption drive. He knows exactly because he's been in that business for a long time. So I'm very hopeful with the new GIPC boss because he knows from inside because he was standing on the other side.
Right.
He knows what the business, the problems and the issues are. So I'm very happy that he has been installed now, I think last week by Honorable President Mahama. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. So you just touched on the new GIPC Act. Probably
Yeah.
there are people watching that do not know what that means. Could you briefly share maybe what?
Yeah,
was
the new
overview?
GIPC Act is basically a new law which was in Parliament since I think the autumn of 2023 submitted, and that would with a lot of improvements for the business climate. And if it would have gone through before December 2024, it was basically the only big measure from the old government to improve the business climate. And what was good from the law is basically that they have built in the current GIPC Act that if you want to set up a joint venture, in my time, 2001, it was $10,000, but now it's $200,000. And if you set up your wholly owned company in Ghana, you had to bring now you have to bring $500,000, and that was in the old days $25,000. Okay, how does that work? In a sense, I'm an investor, I'm a Dutch investor or a diasporan investor, and I want to support maybe a family member or somebody else in a joint venture. Then I have to bring at least $200,000. But through the GIPC, and then I have to transfer the 200,000 or exchange the $200,000 in Ghana cedis. Okay, now look at the inflation rate. We have an inflation rate last December, and it's a little bit higher, I think, in January, around 22-23%. Yeah. So the moment you change that in Ghana cedis, you're already losing money. Well, you have not invested anything. And then say, oh yeah, if you're a big investor, then $200,000 is peanut. Yeah, but there are a lot of small family companies in the Netherlands and smaller players who are also interested in this market and who want to invest, and like diasporans who have family members, and they want to maybe invest 20,000 euro. And now they cannot do this in this system, not through the GIPC. So that threshold would go to zero in the new law. So from $200,000 to zero, from $500,000 to zero. That would create a lot of opportunity, like I had in the Kufuor days, of new investors into Ghana. I'm 100% certain about that. And that law, because Mahama has said in a presidential talk that he's also in favor of it, and as we know that the MPP was also in favor of it, so it should be, but it has to be submitted now again in the new parliament, because
right.
we have a new parliament. So
okay.
yeah, I hope it doesn't take too long.
Yeah.
But,
awesome.
Yeah.
So talking about the diaspora. So I mean, you came in as a Dutch diasporans. We're talking about Dutch diasporans, but they have a bit more history or a bit more of a link with Ghana. What would you say is the added value of diasporans here in Ghana?
Well, they are like me. Okay, meaning that they know. I mean, like you, they know from both cultures. So they know the Dutch culture and the Dutch way of doing business, and they know the Ghanaian culture, and that makes you a strong intermediary between two cultures, also in doing business. Like you are working at GIPC, and we always talk Dutch. Okay, not now. Mm-hmm. But that's an added value, and you, if I talk something about the Netherlands, you recognize, you know it. So that is something you can use when you're doing business. So in that way, as a diasporan, you can help and assist Dutch companies, or you can set up a company here and then use your knowledge to export to, for instance, the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So basically, being embedded by two cultures is kudos. Is
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So there are also some controversial thoughts. Sometimes you hear things like, oh, the more diasporans come in, they will take the jobs from maybe Ghanaians that are already here, or diasporans coming in are making Ghana more expensive. What do you think about that?
No, I don't believe in that sense. I think the diasporans certainly when we look also at the planning from the diaspora desk, the brain gain project. We talked. You had already a podcast with Richard. That is basically the added value of a diasporan who comes here. He's not coming to replace somebody here, his job. No, he's going to create job. He's going to create business. So he adds value to this country. He's not going to push out a Bolt driver and say, okay, I'm now a Bolt driver or something.
And then the second one, saying, okay, diasporans are coming in, investing, maybe let's say in real estate, and prices are going up, they're making Ghana more expensive. What do you say to that?
No, okay, there's a lot of difference between poor and rich, and you see it every day. That's a little bit the sad thing, but you see it in a lot of countries in the world. You have it also in Europe, gentrification or something. That you mix a neighborhood with people with money, and then people with no money are going to complain that the house prices go up, etc. But Ghana is big enough. I don't. I do think, honestly, that the rental prices are quite high here, and sometimes I wonder, like, just lower it a little bit, and it will not be. You will have somebody who can rent it.
Right.
But sometimes you see apartments and houses, they've been empty for years. And then probably there's a few behind it with family members, all complicated. But no, I don't see this increasing. It's basically there are two worlds here, of course. There's a world of if you go outside Accra and Tema. I was with my son last week. We drove to Elmina, and if you go outside the big cities, then you see also the real Ghana. There are villages, and there's still a Pessoa economy. Not everybody is wants to have a 4-wheel drive and whatever.
Yeah, so Ghana's big enough for everyone. Yeah. Ghana in the next 10 years.
Whoa. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? You've been here for almost 10 years already, so you've seen a lot of difference.
I've been 17 and a half years, 8 years now, and then 9 and a half in the first period. It's a little bit, if you look at Ghana, it's always under an IMF program, because it spends too much and it doesn't earn enough. We have the problems with the corruption and blah blah blah. I hope that there's always hope with a new government, that they're going to attack the corruption in society, get an end to the galamsey. If that does not happen, the future will not be good, because then in 2 years' time Ghana has to import fresh water. If you look at what the galamsey is doing, so it's very serious that this government, and I believe this government will do that, will fight that. But if they don't, you need a patriot. You need somebody who believes in Ghana and wants to uplift Ghana and its people, and not thinking, oh, my pocket, or my bank account in Switzerland and my house in France or whatever. And I'm a bit cynical. Sometimes I'm also accused of cynicism, but I believe this coming 2 years will be good, and there will be a new elan. I don't know the English word in the country. So let's. I mean, you can remain in the negative, but yeah, it's not. So Ghana has the potential. It has everything.
Yeah.
And it has also the young people who want to work, and you've got an intelligent diaspora who can assist. So it's all there, but it has to be connected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone watching that's like, okay, I've been thinking about making the move for a while. I'm not too sure. What would you
Just do
say
it.
to someone? Okay.
No, just do it in the sense, if you think about it, I mean, you can always make an orientation trip. I mean, it's one airline ticket. You can. My son flew here with Royal Air Maroc.
Yeah.
That's okay. You arrive in the middle of the night and you have to board in the middle of the night. But it's, I think, the cheapest airline. But so just do it. And probably a lot of the diasporans have family here or relatives, or at least friends. So visit and talk with us. Talk with you, with Jemima from the diaspora desk. Talk with the GMBC. Do your research on the internet, and ask your questions.
Right.
And it's when you're getting older, then you also want to crash somewhere, and it's now, I think it's snowing in Holland and Belgium. It's awful. It's extremely cold. So you don't want that your whole life.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because you've ended your time with the GMBCC now.
Yeah.
Are you staying in Ghana? Are you going to live in a village somewhere in Ghana, or are you moving back?
Yeah, I'm going to stay at Paga. No, no, no. I will. First of all, I will still do consultancy work for GMBCC. I told you about the Export Bridge project, so I'm very enthusiastic about that. I will remain focusing on organizations and companies who want to be active in between brackets West Africa, Ghana foremost, because that's my knowledge, that's my network. But my base will be changed from Accra to Antwerp. Antwerp, I already lived before I returned, and Antwerp is also the place where my girlfriend lives, and she thinks it's also, and I think it's very nice if we see each other a bit more often.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward, and but I will remain focused on Ghana and this continent, and maybe but I also have built a house in Tanzania, which I've rented out, but I like the African continent also. I told you I lived before in Zimbabwe before I came to Ghana, and I want to have the retirement. I want to retire in the European winter. I don't want to be there. Then I want to go and sit in my house in near Arusha, play golf and enjoy.
Sounds good. What are the top 3 things that Challing is going to miss about Ghana?
Miss?
Yes.
Okay. The big star beer. No, the golf, and certainly the hole 19. I always on Saturday I play at Bok Nam Kim, and I will definitely miss that, because I already, the first time when I was in Antwerp, and then I was playing before that at Achimota. Golf in Belgium or Netherlands is totally different. It's boring, and you got sheriffs on the course, and you cannot do that, you cannot do that. No, I will. So I will of course come back also to Ghana, because I will miss my golf the most. That's there's a lot of things I will not miss, like the cockroaches, etc. But the golf I will miss, and my friends, my buddies. Yeah.
Well, that's fair. So what are the top 3 things that you will not miss about Ghana?
These cockroaches.
Okay.
That okay. I will not go into details.
Thank you.
What I will not miss is basically the heat, the humidity. I cannot get used to it, and I'm now getting old. So now I'm like, okay. And also in combination with the Harmattan, I don't. It's like no, I'm not so
Yeah.
happy with that.
Fair enough.
And what I also will not miss is basically, you've got the beautiful beaches here, but you can't swim because the sea is so dangerous. You got the tides, and you have to be so careful, even if you are a very good swimmer. So that I will not miss.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any Ghanaian dish that you had to learn to love, or that you still
In
cannot
the old days,
stand?
I used to eat a lot the peanut butter soup with the chicken in it or the meat with the slimy balls, etc. I like that, but at some point I was, and for the rest I liked the jollof rice and the chicken,
Right.
and the plantain chips and the kelly welly. Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm not such an I'm like a lot of Ghanaians. I like my meat and everything fried is good.
Right. Nice. How would you describe Ghana in one word?
In one word. Oh yeah, that's in one word. Promising.
Okay.
But it was promising 20 years ago. It's still promising. So
Okay.
no, it's a promising country. It has everything. Yeah.
Okay. Final question. I know usually when people come to the GMBCC from the Netherlands, whether they're diasporans or Dutch, you usually speak Dutch with them, expect them to speak Dutch.
Yeah.
So now we know that you've been in Ghana for so long. So the people want to hear you say something in Twi before you leave. Impress us. What is something you can say in Twi?
At the sign.
Okay.
Bra, 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 bra. En mate.
Right.
Medasi pa.
Okay. Good enough. Good
Yeah,
enough.
okay.
No, thank you so much. Any final words you'd want to?
Thank you very much. I hope the viewers have enjoyed also this podcast, and otherwise you put it off. Huh? No, thank you very much, Jemima, and I hope please, if you have any questions, then ask Jemima, and she will also forward it to me, and please take the opportunity of this diaspora desk and of the GMBCC. We can help you, we can assist you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
And thank you all for watching. We have come to the end of this episode. Again, we hope that you were inspired. If you do have any questions, definitely reach out to us. And once again, I would like to thank the Ghana Netherlands Business and Culture Council for sponsoring this episode with the assistance of the Royal Netherlands Embassy. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, you comment, you like. It means a lot to us. So thank you so much, and until the next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.